Welcome to another of these live sessions. Tonight we're going to be looking at, following on from last week, which is talking about grooves. Okay, last week we did some rock and pop stuff. This week we're going to be looking at how to develop a basic funk groove and make your playing sound a little bit more funky. Okay, let me just show you that real basic groove and getting that feel that we need. Okay, so really simple groove, really simple groove, but with some feeling. You know, make sure that there's some definite feeling in there, and we're going to start to work. Now, if you remember talking last week, we talked about the difference in the hi-hat. Okay, so the hi-hat was the thing that made the massive difference. I'll just have a quick recap for anybody who didn't see it. Okay, we talked about the different accent patterns on the hi-hat and what you can do with it to make the groove feel different. Okay, so we kind of discovered 3 different ways we can do that. One is to put an accent on the hi-hat on the beat, okay, giving it that nice driving feel. The other was to put the accent on 2 and 4 with the snare drum and keep everything else as grace notes to give it that nice laid back feel. And the other was to put the accent off the beat and give it that more funky feel. Okay, so let me just show you that first. I'll do it in that order. You'll be able to hear such a big difference, and I'm not playing anything different. I'm playing the same thing. I've just moved the accent pattern. Okay. Okay, so you can hear that even though I'm playing exactly the same groove, the bass drum's going on 1 and 3, snare drum's going on 2 and 4, I'm still just playing 8th notes over here on the hats. There's a massive difference in the way that feels. Real big difference in the way that feels, okay? So, and that's where we're kind of looking at creating those feels. As I say, we did it in the rock and the pop thing to get the sort of more rocky sound, just open the hi-hat slightly, get that sloshier sound, and it gives it that sort of more rocky edge. But this is basically what we're looking at now, okay? So you can see straight away that immediately putting the hi-hat off the beat gives us a much more funky sound, yeah? So that in itself could be classed as a funk groove. If we start to open the hi-hat, then we're looking at something we're going to look at later on, which is that sort of disco groove. But keeping that off the beat, it gives us that nice kind of funky feel, yeah? So to get this sound, okay, and we've not done anything yet. We've not done anything with the bass drum, we've not done anything with the snare, but all of a sudden we've got this kind of more funky, up-tempo, kind of really nice groove going. So if I played a groove 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4, and then just push the hi-hat open on count 1, you're going to notice that it kind of starts to sound much more funky. Let me show you what that sounds like. I'll do that slowly for you first. Okay, so not necessarily a funk groove immediately, but you're going on the right lines there to create that. Okay, so we're moving in on the right path. Yeah. So the first thing we can do with that is keeping the hi-hat open on count 1, which gives it that kind of push, that edge. We can just change the bass drum pattern a bit, and we'll take out the and 3, and we'll just put it on and 4. So it's 1, 2, and 4, 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 1, 2, and 4. Okay, so that's the basic groove. Okay, so again, nothing particularly challenging in there at all for most of you, yeah? Unless you're a real kind of beginner, but nothing particularly challenging in there at all for anybody. All right, so all we've done is we've just taken out a couple of bass drums, moved the bass drums into different places, opened the hi-hat on count 1, and we're now starting to see that kind of funk groove starting to come forward. All right, so let's just move that on a step further, and we're going to just change the bass drum pattern a little bit. So now we're going to play, instead of playing 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4, we're going to play 1 and a 2, and 4, 1 and a 2, and 4. Okay, so let's play, I'll play that slow, and then I'll introduce the open hi-hat, and you can see how that has to fit together. It's starting to sound more funky immediately. Okay, so if we keep moving forward with it, yeah, we're just messing with bass drum patterns. You can change that bass drum pattern to really whatever you want, but in the funk side of things, it can kind of get a lot busier than it can if you were playing a pop gig. If you were playing a pop gig, it's quite simple. In the funk world, you can kind of start to go at it a little bit more, and you can start to play a few more little bits, syncopate things, just offset bass drums here, moving back by an 8th note, moving forward by an 8th note. Add the little 16th note one in here and there, yeah, and everything starts to come together. So that's the key to it, is to build from the basics. Yeah, so we'll build up from the basics of what we got last week, which was the rock and the pop, and we're just going to keep building on that. Okay. So something you'll hear much more in, if we just sort of park the hi-hat for a minute, we'll come back to it soon. Something you'll hear a lot more in funk kind of stuff is a lot more grace notes. Yeah. A lot more grace notes. All right. So if we look at something like this groove, 1 and a 2 and 4, 1 and a 2 and 4. Let's add some grace notes in so we can just fill it out a little bit, making sure that there's some control in your grace notes. So there's an accent, is the backbeat on 2 and 4, and everything else is a grace note, making it nice and small. Okay. Slow that right down for you. Play it now so you can hear it a bit better. Now a little bit faster, sort of in context. Okay, so there's the kind of first bit, yeah, but that, I mean, I'm showing you some ideas there, but it's up to you really to put in what you want. As long as the 2 and the 4 stay in the same place and your timing stays the same, yeah, we're just adding to it at all. So we're just adding to the groove, yeah. So you can work on that by just playing, yeah, just play here. Just work some ideas out on the snare that sound nice, and then you can start to put the right hand back onto the hi-hat and you should get the same groove. Okay, so from a simple idea, just playing on the snare, bass drum, yeah, we've just then taken it, we've got an idea of where we want to go, keeping the control, the difference between the accent and the grace note, and then we've put the right hand onto the hi-hat, and we've, you know, we've kind of come up with a really nice sounding groove. Okay, so let's take a quick question. Okay, let's have a look. All right, question from Stephen. Am I using doubles in the grace? Yes, I am. Yes. Okay, let me explain that to you. Good question. The grace notes, you've probably noticed there that I'm not playing all the grace notes just as single tap, single notes. Okay, I'm playing quite a lot of them as a double stroke. Yeah. So, what could be this groove? That last note there. 1, 2, 3, 4, ender. Ender at the end. 4, ender, 4, ender. I'm making that into double to link back in. And a 1. Play that slowly for you. Okay, so just by putting that little extra double in there, the whole thing changes its dynamic and kind of sounds nice, funky, and you're kind of pushing in to count 1, which makes it sound, you know, makes it sound really, really nice. So thanks for that, Stephen. Good question, mate. Very good question. Let me know where you are, Stephen. Don't forget that one of you is going to get a free Skype lesson out of this tonight as well for one of the questions. I'm just going to scroll through all the questions, and one of you is going to get that. Okay. So there's the kind of basics of pushing this funk thing through. So the grace notes, maybe the doubles, yeah, we can add all sorts of different rudiments into this as well, like with the 5 strokes and the doubles and things. But you've got to make sure that your doubles are nice and clean first, yeah. What we don't want is sloppy doubles, yeah. We want some nice, hopefully you can hear that, we want some nice defined doubles, as opposed to this and just dragging, you know, these drags and things, yeah, because if we're just going to drag and hope that we get the bounce, we're not going to be able to make sure that the double's the same every time. All right, so it may be that it's totally different. So if we can play both notes, if we can get both notes nice and defined, then yeah, you can start to put those doubles in. Great way to get this working is to just play some fast shuffles. Yeah, with both hands. I play it open-handed. And give your right hand and your left hand a really good workout, especially your left hand. If you can play, you know, a shuffle along to a shuffle with a shuffle track, 100 plus beats a minute, then you know your left hand's going to get a real good workout there. If you do that for a good few weeks, you're going to feel a big difference in the balance of your left hand because you're having to play both notes. So when it comes to the grace note, you'll feel a real big difference in there. And just working on that open-handed shuffle to get that working. Okay. Cool. Right, let's move on. Okay. So we've talked about changing the bass drum up a little bit. Yeah. Moving it forward an eighth note, moving it back, adding a 16th note in there. So far the snare drum stayed on 2 and 4. Great stuff. Yeah. We had little 1 and 2 and 4, yeah, so that's cool as well. That's really nice. That sounds great. Depends on the song. Obviously, you've got to listen to the track first to see where, you know, what's relevant and what you think you need to play and what you think you don't need to play. We've opened the hi-hat on count 1. Works great, yeah, and we've added some grace notes in singles and also in doubles. Okay, so this the exercise. I think a good few weeks ago now we did a lesson based on developing grace notes. So again, that should be in there. You know, that should be in there, and we should, you know, you should be working on those exercises all the time, so you can start to develop those grace notes with you know, which will be probably with your weaker hand if you're playing in a sort of traditional way. Okay, so the next step then is to just explore the hi-hat a little bit more. If we take the groove that we just played before, or some variant of that groove, yeah. So let's say it's going. Yeah. If we now, rather than opening the hi-hat on count 1, if we open it on one hand, yeah, we open it on one hand, then we start to create a totally different feel again. Okay, I'll show you that. Okay, I think there may be the odd one there that opened on 2, okay? But one hand, yeah? 1 and 2. So that makes a big difference as well. Just open the hi-hat in a slightly different place. Remember, all we're playing at the moment is an 8th note groove. We just moved a few things round, and that's all we've done. Yeah? Okay, so going back again to a previous lesson of developing left foot, what happens if we're playing this groove that's going boom stat boom jack boom stat boom jack boom stat boom jack, and then we go on the ride. Okay, let me show you what happens. The whole feel changes. Yeah, let me show you. Okay, to me, the whole feel of that has changed. The whole feel of it has changed altogether. Okay, which is something that we don't want to happen. So we need to try and replicate the same feel. Okay, so let's try a couple of different ways. Let's try pulling the one hand out on the bell of the ride and see if that works. Okay, so in a way it's kind of worked, yeah? In a way it's kind of worked, and it's kind of made that, give us that feel back again. Definitely, it was definitely better than it was without that, okay? So again, it's to experiment, and you've got to try and keep that feel. If you've got that feel going, you've got to try and replicate it over there, okay? So, all right, how else could we do this? Okay, how else could we do it? All right? Let's have a look. How else could we do it? Come on, get your answers in. How else could we make this work? This is anybody who's been watching the previous lessons will know the answer to this straight away, okay? So let me play it again for you, and then I'll check the messages again, and let's see if anybody's come up with the answer. Okay, so there it is, yeah? Let's have a look and see if anybody's come up with the answer. All right. All right, we've got couple of wrong answers, or not wrong answers, but you know, different ways of playing it. Okay, let's have a look and see. Some of you, well, a couple of you have kind of implied the right answer. Okay, but Funky Fies, maybe a Tower of Power found. Yeah, the answer is to play it on the hi-hat still. Okay, but we're not going to play it with the hands. I don't know which, you've not put there which way you're going to do that. Okay, we're going to do it with a foot. So all we're going to do is, once we go on the ride, we're going to keep that open hi-hat going, but we're going to do it with a foot splash. So it's going to go 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, previous lessons go through the foot splash and those kind of things. Okay, yeah. Let me play it for you again with the foot splashing, so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, so there you can hear, I mean, to me, immediately, that just sounds so much better. So much better, because the same instrument The hi-hat is making the same noise as it was when I was playing it with my hands, yeah, and it just sounds. It keeps the consistency going, keeps the same thing all the way through, and just fills out the sound a lot more. So experiment with what you can do with this left foot. Okay, often it's just sat there playing at the same time as the snare, and you can't really hear it. Okay, give it its own space, give it its own voice. Okay, it may mean a little bit of independence exercises that you need to work on and working on your coordination. Okay, but give it its own space. It will, make your groove sound fuller and give you that kind of funky edge. All right, so let's just take another couple of questions. All right, okay. Paul. Okay, Paul. Yeah. Paul's asking which drummers I would recommend to kind of check out. Okay. Now, obviously today it's quite easy for us to just type a drummer's name into YouTube, and and check that out and see what's got. Now, the couple of people that have really sort of influenced me in terms of the funk side of things. The one is a few years ago I did a masterclass with Stanton Moore, and Stanton. If you want to sort of get into the New Orleans second line funk stuff, then Stanton is an absolute definite. You need to really look at a lot of the Stanton stuff. There's some really, really nice stuff in there. Stanton's a really nice guy as well, but he really does know it. He knows from the roots. Watch his clinics and things on YouTube. If you get a chance to see him, go see him live, because he's a phenomenal drummer with a great, amazing feel. Yeah, and you'll notice a lot of this stuff in his playing. Okay, and the other one is, I'm guessing possibly Funkifies already knows this, which is a band called Tower of Power, with a drummer by the name of Mr. David Garibaldi. Okay, David is just the ultimate kind of funk drummer. Yeah, so I think with those two guys there, you'll be able to get a good feel, a real good feel for what's going on funk-wise. David Garibaldi and Stanton Moore. There's a million other drummers out there you can look at, but I would say have a look at those two, and they will you'll hear a lot of this stuff going on with the different hi-hat patterns and things, and the grace notes. Grace notes to die for. If you're looking for grace note stuff, some people, there's a million players again that play a lot of grace notes, but I got a lot of ideas for grace notes from a masterclass that I did with Keith Carlock a couple of years ago. Keith's got a kind of really bizarre technique, in that he plays really open, really open, and then plays real far back on the stick here. But it kind of works for him. He openly admits that it's not an ideal technique, but it kind of works for him. But the grace notes are just to die for. They're all the same, and they're really nice. So Keith Carlock's a guy to have a look at as well. Okay. Yeah, so let me just play you a little funk groove to finish, and then you can keep your questions coming in, and we'll see you next week for, I can't remember what the one next week is, but the schedule's all on the site. Don't forget to get your questions in. Join the Facebook here. You can get hold of me on Twitter at Rich Wilson Drums. Don't forget to check out the my personal site, not the Raw Studios site, which is richardwilsononline.com. Go to the video log and tips tab, and there's a few videos that I've put up on there for drum teachers, helping you grow your business, and some good practice tips on there as well, helping you to structure your practice a little bit more and get a little bit more from a limited amount of time. So there's a couple of videos on there as well that you might want to have a look at. Okay, so that's www.richardwilsononline.com. All right, so let me play you a little funk groove that I like to play. It incorporates kind of a lot of this stuff that we've talked about today, and it kind of, it's a kind of one of those feel-good ones. It's one of those grooves that I sit down and play quite a lot. Okay, here we go. Okay guys, that's it for this week. Thanks for checking us out again, and we'll see you next week. Schedule's on the site. Keep your questions, keep spreading the word for us, and go away, have fun with some funk grooves, and we'll see you next week.